I'm Olivia. Mila's around here somewhere. She'll be joining us in a minute, probably. And this is my recommendations channel. At this point, I'm only doing books. I'm hoping to eventually do movies and TV shows and maybe some physical places like parks and the Alamo or whatever. Um, I'm going to try something new, such as it is. For one thing, I'm filming during the daytime-ish. It's like 7 at night. When my dad's awake, because I keep trying to film at like 2 in the morning or whatever, or 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning before my dad gets up. But I don't feel like wrestling with makeup. I believe it or not, I am wearing makeup and things like that at that time of the morning. So I bought some weather stripping. We'll see if it makes my bedroom cold, quiet enough to film in. We'll see how that goes. I figured good enough is better than not doing it, half-assed or whatever. Can I say that? Doing it halfway is better than not doing it at all. So, I've got 8 scripts written. Let's see how many we can get filmed today. This is the first. I'm doing the Inheritance series by Lynn Barnes. We're going to start with the first book, which is obviously called The Inheritance Script Games. Geez. Is my writing backwards again? I hate when that happens. I hope it's right way forward. I set that up a while ago. I don't know if I did or not. See, I told you Mila would be up here. I'm also going to try something different. That I've got a little script written here because I've tried sort of off the cuffing it and it was terrible. I will eventually maybe be able to put like a script on my editing computer over there, but I'm extremely nearsighted. These are not distance glasses. These are, as you can see by the blue circle on them, they're blue light reflecting glasses. So we'll see how that goes. So for right now, we're going to go with the paper script. Hello. Yes, I know, I'm filming. So I'm going to go ahead and just read my script and hopefully think of some other things to say while I'm going through it. Let's get started. Maybe, hopefully by the end of these 8 scripts, this will feel natural to me. I have another one that I'm starting to work on, but it felt weird to let more scripts back up without actually filming them. So you can hear a lot of, I can hear the TV. I hope you guys can. But at the very least, if you can, I hope that the company that made this movie doesn't sue me for including sounds in the background. So when I first started this, I wasn't sure what to do about the Inheritance game, since it is a series and it does kind of come to a conclusion that's a callback to the beginning. I won't go into too much detail, but there's a callback to the beginning at the very end. So I was like, well, is it one continuous thing or is it 3 separate things? So I'm going to do it as 3 separate things, and then if later I feel like adding it, like editing them together, I say laughingly, we'll see how it goes. So I've several pages of just me dithering that I'm not sure that they're standalone. Do you want me to read this whole thing to you? Why not? Okay. I'm totally not sure what to do about the Inheritance Games series by Lynn Barnes. The series is 3 standalone-ish books, but there's sort of a through line for the series as well. Frankly, my videos are coming out kind of short, so maybe doing one major video for all 3 books will make my videos take more time. Or should I pump up the number of videos and thus give more opportunities for the algorithm to help people find me by doing each book individually? Or would it look like I'm going back to the well too many times? Well, it's Saturday night. This was weeks ago, by the way, I think months ago. It's Saturday night. I want to type up something that I can use in a video tomorrow, well, Monday morning, since I have 2 scripts already more or less in the can. So maybe I'll just do the first book. At least that'll be my goal. As an aside, I didn't end up recording anything Sunday. My dad was already awake when I got up, and I'm not a fan of recording while he's up and watching television, as we've already talked about. I also totally failed to record on Monday. My car has a steering fluid leak, and so I took it in to be evaluated on Monday morning. So this is October. Okay, just so you know. There are a few other things that need to be done as well, but the steering fluid leak is going to cost a pretty penny, so I'll wait until later on those things. Where were we? The Inheritance Game series, here we go, we're starting the book. The Inheritance Game series is the story of Avery Kylie Grahams, a highly intelligent young woman who was raised by a single mom. Her mom passed away relatively recently as the book begins, and Avery's sister, her half-sister on their father's side, Libby, has taken her in. Libby has an abusive on-again, off-again boyfriend that Avery has been trying to get her away from. We get dropped into the middle of a crisis. Avery has a tradition of playing chess against Harry, a homeless guy who lives in the park. She beats Harry, which means she has to buy him breakfast. This is not the crisis for her. Basically, the deal is that if Harry wins, she doesn't buy him breakfast. If she wins, she does. Just fill that in. Once she gets to school after feeding Harry, Avery is accused of cheating on an exam that was designed to be impossible to get a perfect score on. She got a perfect score. The teacher designs the test just as hard, a new test just as hard, and Avery demands to take it right then. She comes home to find that Libby and her boyfriend Drake are on again. This is going to take some getting used to. Into these less than auspicious circumstances, we introduce Grayson Hawthorne. He arrives at Avery's school to tell her that Avery was named in the will of Grayson's grandfather, billionaire Tobias Hawthorne. After a flight from Avery's home in Connecticut to the Hawthorne estate in Texas. Where in Texas? I keep saying Dallas. There's Dallas. Okay. Where in Texas? I've never been able to figure that out. At first I assumed it was near Dallas, but Tobias died on oil, so Houston. But they spent time at the coast, which is kind of far from either, so Corpus Christi. So now I've decided my headcanon until Barnes decides otherwise is going to be that the books are set in Galveston. Galveston was shaping up to be the most beautiful, luxurious, fantastic, wealthy city in Texas. And then in 1900, they got hit by a hurricane that basically decimated, more than decimated, I guess, the entire city. It was just like, some of the houses are still there, but most of the island was just destroyed. There's like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a seawall there now that will do pretty good to protect it. But that was like a once in a millennium kind of event. And so in my headcanon, I've decided that that the hurricane of 1900 never happened. And this is Galveston because there's been time at the Gulf, and even with the Hawthorne wealth and ability with helicopters. They're not mentioned that they go in helicopters. I don't know how they get to the Gulf. So I'm like, okay, they're right there. Galveston Bay, the Gulf, it's right there. So that's my headcanon until I'm told otherwise. Avery discovers that she was not just named in Tobias's will. Tobias left just about everything to her. So here's the largest plot motivator in this book. Why did Tobias choose Avery to inherit everything? First, a bit on the family of Tobias Hawthorne. We've already sort of met Grayson Hawthorne, the second eldest grandson of Tobias, but there are more Hawthornes to meet. First, there are Tobias's daughters, Zara and Skye. Zara doesn't have any children, and Skye has 4 sons, Nash, Grayson, Jameson, and Xander. Skye has never been really interested in parenting, so she left her sons to the devices of her late father. Tobias raised the boys to compete against each other. They had weekly games and other goals set for them, or more on some of those later. Nash has sort of bowed out of the whole family thing. He has his own money, more on that after I finish my introductions, and so he visits, but he's chosen not to inherit the family fortune. Next is our friend Grayson. Grayson is always expected to be the heir to the family fortune, so he is understandably suspicious of Avery's intentions. Jameson is the rebel of the family. He pushes limits, both his own and those of the rules the family has set. And, well, the rules of society as well, to some extent. Then there's Xander. The youngest of Skye's sons. He accepts his life as a source of fun. He immediately tells Avery that he's going to be her BHFF, best Hawthorne friend forever, and introduces her to the way the family works. Now for the part of why Nash has his own money. And also a thought I'm having about raising children in general. Or maybe just how I should have raised Alex. I don't know. I've recently come to the conclusion that not only is Alex neurodivergent, but that so am I, and that most likely so were both of my parents. So just following our rules about raising kids won't likely be the best plan. Tobias had a philosophy of invest, cultivate, create. On each of his grandsons' birthdays, Tobias would give them $10,000 to invest. This is why the boys aren't as put out by being disinherited as one might expect. They've each, 100,000. Yeah, 10,000. They've each been given hundreds of thousands of dollars to build into their own financial empires. Cultivate is about developing skills and interests, and since Tobias is ridiculously wealthy, no expense is spared. A grandson who wants to learn piano will get a world-class education and a debut in Carnegie Hall, for example. Create is about, well, creation. Writing a book, earning a patent, getting a medical study published in a journal, whatever. And I think that as I'm increasingly accepting that my whole hopelessly underemployed family are neurodivergent, using an approach like this in addition to the nuts and bolts of their education might be helpful. Uh, my dream is for my grandchildren, who won't even exist for at least another 10 years, will choose the kinds of majors that rich people kids chooses, like international business. So at the very least, having a nest egg and some skills beyond the stuff they learned in school would be good. So back to the book. Avery has to live in the house where the three youngest grandsons and both daughters are still living for a year. We find out that she can leave the house for no longer than 3 consecutive days. I'm doing this with my finger over here. This will become important in the next book, I think. Avery and the Hawthorne grandsons, which is my best side, I think. This is okay. Avery and the Hawthorne grandsons are trying to solve the mystery of why Avery was chosen to inherit. Nash is dubious. He thinks that Tobias could have chosen anyone to inherit because Avery's just a puzzle piece and not the actual puzzle. Grayson thinks that Avery's done something underhanded to convince Tobias to give her the inheritance. Jameson just views it as a puzzle to solve upon realizing how intelligent Avery is, teams up with her to solve the puzzle. Xander's just having fun with the puzzle. I hesitate to get too much into any of the things that Avery discovers regarding the mystery. Fortunately, there's a lot of other non-mystery related things to cover. For example, Avery's new attorney, she has a personal attorney, Elisa, and a personal bodyguard, Orrin, tells her that now that she's an heiress, or will become her 18th birthday, she needs to look the part and hire stylists and hairdressers and media consultants. Avery also gets enrolled in a fancy day school with creative scheduling. They schedule her for classes based more or less on her interests. One of her classes, for example, is called Philosophy of Mindfulness. Oh, I totally forgot Max. Maxine Leo, also known as Max, is Avery's best childhood friend. Max is a bit of normality in the world that Avery's been thrown into. Max has moved from Connecticut, which is where they started, after their 8th grade year, so they've been continuing their friendship by text message. Fortunately, texting works from Texas just like it had from Connecticut. Max's family is also religious, so Max uses what they called minced oaths at my Christian high school. Only Max's are way more creative than anything I could have come up with. The puzzle of why Avery was chosen is sort of travelogue to the layout of the Hawthorne Mansion, which is the largest privately owned house in the country in the book. Let's compare that to the Biltmore Mansion in North Carolina, one of my favorite places. I will be recommending that at some point, which is the largest privately owned house in the U.S. in our world at 175,000 square feet, which works out to 16,600 square meters. It's a big house. And so we're saying Tobias Hawthorne Manor probably about the same size, maybe even a little bigger, because I don't know if the Biltmore house exists in their world. Tobias added on to the house every year, and Avery's expected to do the same. We see assorted bedrooms, libraries, offices, and so forth while trying to solve Tobias's puzzle. We also visit other parts of the estate, such as the home that Tobias gave to the Laughlins, who are old family retainers, as a sort of life estate. Now, life estate, for anybody who doesn't know that, is like it still belongs to the person who owns the house, but it has the use. Now, it's been a long time since I've taken my course in paralegal school, but it still has the person in there has the use of it while they're still alive, and then after their death, it reverts to the owner of the property. So basically it's been given to the use of this particular cottage has been given to the Laughlins for the rest of their lives. What I'm saying is this series takes place in a pretty well realized world. Not a patch on the wheel of time, but what is. One of the things I liked about this book and the series as a whole is that Barnes is very intelligent and very well educated. She has a PhD in cognitive science from Yale, even. One of the pitfalls about writing intelligent characters is that you have to make them look, well, intelligent, and Barnes has that ability. I've been it's been since October since I posted anything, but I'm about to go into spoiler territory, so I do have I told you I forgot my editing computer, and I've downloaded, it's been a long week, downloaded some software onto it that I can use to edit stuff, but I don't know if I'm nervous about that. I'll probably mess with this file a little bit before I upload it. I haven't decided. But eventually I'm going to probably put timestamps in. But for right now, Anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled, I guess I'll see you later. You know the drill. If you know of any books that I'd like, of course, I mean, this is just a fraction of the books I've read in my life. I may already have read your book, but if you recommend it and it's something that I did like, I'll fast track it. I'll do that too. But like, subscribe, all those things. If you don't want to be spoiled, if you don't want to be spoiled, let's keep going. Okay, so Avery is drawn both Grayson and Jameson. This is sort of history repeating itself. You see, Grayson and Jameson both loved another girl, Emily Laughlin, the granddaughter of the Laughlins who were living in that cottage that they have as a life estate. Emily had heart problems, and she died while toying with the two brothers. Emily died on Avery's 15th birthday. Jason finally got tired of Emily's game playing and broke up with her. Emily convinced Grayson to take her cliff jumping on the Gulf of Mexico. That's where we're, one of the places where it's like, oh, we're at the Gulf of Mexico. Where? How? That's a far piece even from Houston. Anyway, and her heart gave out. Grayson had gone to get towels, and Jameson, who'd been watching, saw her collapse. He thought, incorrectly, that she was playing up for his attention, and he walked away. Only later did he realize she was actually dying. So at first, that was one of the going theories, that Avery's birthday was Emily's death date. And well, it's kind of accurate, more or less, sort of. Tobias was basically tired of the tension between his two middle sons, and he set up the game of why he chose Avery specifically to bring the boys' feelings of guilt to the surface, and that required all 5 of them, Nash, Grayson, Jameson, Xander, and to everyone's surprise, Avery, to cooperate. I just realized I forgot Thea and Rebecca. Thea's the boys' step-cousin. Her uncle's married to Zara, and Rebecca is Emily's younger sister. Avery gets a whole bunch of her information on Emily from Thea, who also sets Avery up to remind the boys of Emily by having her dress and hair look like Emily's when Avery makes her first public appearance as an heiress. Thea and Rebecca are also in love with each other. If the book had just stopped there, it would have been an ending, but it doesn't end there. We find that Tobias had one more secret. He had been watching Avery her whole life, and he was interested in Avery's friendship with Harry. Remember Harry, the homeless guy from the beginning of the book? Harry, it turns out, is Tobias's long-lost 3rd child, his son, Tobias Hawthorne II. Now, I don't like why I call second because it should be junior. I guess maybe he has a middle name or something, because my mom, being probably neurodivergent, was very, very, this is how names work. First, second, third, First, a second is like somebody named for a grandfather. Like, I dated a guy who's a second. He and his father had the same first name, but different middle names. And the father it was like, I need a name. I need a boy's name. What the heck? Give me a boy's name, Mila. Let's see. John Henry Smith had a son named John Richard Smith. And so John Richard Smith has a son named John Henry Smith. So John Henry Smith would be the second because he was the grandson. He wouldn't be a junior. My mom was very, very particular about those things. And so the Tobias Hawthorne, the second thing, bothers me because that's how I was raised. Anyway, so but yeah, so Harry turns out to be Tobias Hawthorne's son, Tobias Hawthorne II. I guess this is the end of this video for now. Again, I'm looking at the Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I will hopefully be going right from this to the next book in filming in my life. And then, since I was on a habit of uploading every Thursday, this will probably launch, since I'm not bothering to edit at this point. I don't even know what today is. What is today? Today's the 15th. Saturday the 15th. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Thursday. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The 20th? I think that works out. Yes. I'll probably post this on March 20th, and then the 27th, and then, I don't know, the April 3rd or whatever the next one is. So, but I've got 8 films. I've got 8 scripts to film, so let's see how it goes. I probably need a small table or something to put next to this chair so that I can not have everything sitting in my lap and I have more room for Mila. So I guess that's it. You know the drill. Just like I said earlier, if you know any books that you think I'd like to read, I sorry about crack my knuckles there. If you know any books you'd like me to read, let me know. If it's something that I've already read, I'll probably bump it up in my schedule and we'll do a cover it. We'll do it faster. I'm going to eventually, like I said, once I figure how to use the software, I'll probably eventually do movies and TV shows. I have the first season of the Mary Tyler Moore Show on DVD somewhere here. I also have the first episode of the first season of the Muppet Show. So those might be what I start with since that's what I already have. So, and those are series that don't get a lot of love these days because, well, they're 50 years old now. My gosh, I guess they are. So, have a good day. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Say goodbye, Mila.